A sprawling world of floating islands and ancient ruins, hidden between the battles, the quests, and the grind for artifacts are flavors that define each corner of Teyvat. Nutritious meals baked with warmth, crispy bread filled with glossy braised meat, and serene sweetness of extravagant slumber. Today we're stepping away from adventuring and the daily commissions and into the kitchen as we dive into the GENSHIN IMPACT official cookbook. The GENSHIN IMPACT official cookbook, written by Thibaut Villanova, also known as GastronoGeek, is an absolutely gorgeous hardcover with 60 recipes from the different regions in the game. The moment you open it, you can tell this thing was made with an insane level of detail. The table of contents is one of the best I've ever seen, using actual in-game icons to visualize all of the dishes. It's such a tiny touch, but I find that it instantly sets the tone. Every recipe page is packed with info from the game, the dishes in-game screenshot, the character's specialty if it has one, lore tidbits, difficulty ratings, and even little factoids that fans will recognize. It doesn't feel like a loosely inspired cookbook, it feels like something that is genuinely seeped in Genshin Impact lore. Now let's talk about the visuals, because the photos in this thing are ridiculously accurate. The dishes look almost identical to their in-game versions. Some of the decorations and dinnerware are even custom made to match the game's aesthetic, and I love that attention to detail. The book also covers recipes from Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, and Sumeru, so everything up to the Sumeru content. Maybe one day there's going to be a volume 2 to cover the rest of the other nations, and thematically it's spot on. Everything revolves around the Gourmet Supremos, that little group of traveling food researchers you bump into across the game. The book is framed around their culinary journey, and it actually makes it feel like a lore-accurate artifact, like something you discovered in an archive in the game. It's just a very thoughtful way of tying all of the recipes together. One thing I found challenging is that the decorative elements in the cookbook photos are surprisingly hard to capture, and even though I tried to make my dishes look as close to the book as possible, I definitely ran into some issues. Part of that is on me and my technique, but I also feel the book lacking in instruction sometimes. A few of the photos use incredibly intricate visual elements, like the thorny decorations on Dinner of Judgment or that perfectly replicated pattern on the Mora meat, yet the instructions never explain how to make any of those details. For fandom cookbooks, looks matter just as much as flavors, so a little more guidance would have gone a long way. So now that we've admired the book, time for me to try out some recipes and see if the flavors of Teyvat hold up in real life. I made 3 dishes from the Genshin Impact cookbook to find out. But first, with the holidays coming up, I've been really in the mood for cozy snacks, and perfect timing because my Tokyo Treat and Sakurako boxes just arrived. Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive monthly snack box packed with Japan's coolest and craziest treats, shipped straight from Japan. This month's theme is Snack in Wonderland, and it's full of festive winter snacks. The double berry Kit Kats were crunchy and bursting with tangy strawberry raspberry flavor. These French salad chips have a lovely tangy vinegar punch, and the salted butter truffles have 4 layers of ganache with a salty butter biscuit center. So good. Sakurako is their monthly Japanese artisan snack box that supports local makers across Japan. This month's theme is Holidays in Japan, and everything feels really warm and traditional. You get treats like these matcha mochi, which are rich, earthy, and velvety and pair really well with this matcha-infused sencha. And these milk chocolate strawberries have a really nice freeze-dried texture that go really well with the creamy chocolate. Both boxes also come with these cultural booklets that break down each snack and teach you fun details about wintertime in Japan. I love flipping through them while taste testing. If you want to bring a little Japanese holiday magic into your home, or you need a unique gift idea, check out Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Use the link in the description or my code MISOHUNGRY to get $5 off your first box. Give it as a perfect holiday gift or gift it to yourself. The first dish looks like some strange alchemical product at first, but Sucrose insists that it is a healthy and nutritious meal, the result of many experiments and painstaking improvements. Its healthy green color comes from a mix of cream and natural vegetable juices. It's the Nutritious Meal V593. To start the Nutritious Meal, we're first going to the steamer to cook up 1 head of broccoli. We just want the florets. The broccoli stem we're going to use a little bit later on. And add to that 1 head of chopped cauliflower. With the florets placed in a basket of a steamer, cook these for 10 minutes. Then heat a frying pan over medium heat and melt 1 tablespoon of butter together with a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Once the butter is fully melted, I tossed in 1 chopped onion, a diced potato, the chopped stems from the head of the broccoli from before. Also add in 2 ounces of finely diced ham. Then after a couple of minutes of browning, pour in half a cup of vegetable stock and let the whole thing simmer gently for 5 minutes. Now add in the steamed cauliflower and broccoli florets and fold them into the vegetable mixture and season with some salt and pepper. The cookbook says to cover and simmer over low heat, but doesn't specify for how long, so I'm just gonna let it cook. Next is the spinach bechamel. Take 8 ounces of fresh spinach and bring a pot of salted water to a boil along with a prepared bowl of ice water on the side. The spinach goes in for a quick 15-second dunk in the boiling water before being shocked in the ice bath for 10 seconds. Drain and transfer the cooled spinach into a mixing bowl or kitchen mixer along with 1 cup of light cream and a 1 1/4 cup of vegetable stock, blending it vigorously about 30 seconds. It's supposed to turn into a bright silky green sauce, but mine didn't really get that green color. I think maybe I drained it too much and all of the color drained also. Kinda bummed that I'm not gonna achieve that rich green color as in the photo, but it's the taste that counts. Now in a saucepan, melt 3 tablespoons of butter. You can also use oil here if you want. Do this over medium heat and whisk in a 1/3 cup of flour, cooking that roux for about 10 seconds before ladling in the spinach mixture a bit at a time. Lower the heat and keep whisking while slowly adding the rest of the liquid until it thickens to a smooth spinach bechamel. Now in a large dish, place in the vegetable mixture and top that with a spinach bechamel. Then sprinkle on a 3/4 cup of grated Parmesan. Pop this in the oven at 390 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes until the surface is golden and bubbling. While the gratin bakes, let's work on the Parmesan crisps. On a hot pan over medium heat, place 4 small mounds of grated Parmesan, shaping them roughly into diamonds. Kinda hard to do since the cheese keeps melting into a round shape. After about 2 minutes, the cheese should brown, then cook the other side for a couple of minutes as well. Carefully lift each crisp with a spatula and let them cool on a sheet of paper towel. When it's time to serve, pull the gratin out of the oven and top with the Parmesan crisps, then some of the reserved broccoli and ham cubes. The crisps on the cookbook's photo looks really straight edged and I think they were cut with a knife, and I still don't really get how they achieved such a green color, especially after topping with Parmesan since that stuff browns in the oven. But hey, my off-colored nutritious meal still looks pretty good. Our next dish is a pastry perfectly soft with tender meat oozing with flavor and the specialty of the high and mighty Lady Ningguang. This is the Qiankun Mora meat. We start by preparing the pork, drizzle a layer of oil into a skillet and heat it over medium heat, then place in a small pork tenderloin salted on all sides, sear on all sides until nice and brown, then we're adding on all of the braising aromatics, 1 teaspoon of Sichuan pepper, 1 star anise, a cinnamon stick, a 3/4 inch of fresh ginger that's been sliced up, 1 small bok choy, 3 1/4 tablespoons of brown sugar, 3 1/2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 1/2 tablespoons of Shaoxing wine or dry pale sherry, and finally 4 1/4 cups of meat stock. Mix everything well, cover the pan, and let the pork simmer on low for 2.5 hours. While the meat cooks, let's move on to the bread. The recipe starts with the tangzhong, which is a flour paste that gives the bread its soft texture. In a small saucepan, whisk together a 1/4 cup of flour with a 1/3 cup of water, placing it over medium heat and stirring constantly until it thickens. Slowly add another 1/3 cup of water while stirring, cooking it until it becomes a smooth, loose, glossy paste. Transfer it to a container, cover it with plastic wrap, and set this aside. In the bowl of a stand mixer, combine 2 cups of flour, the tangzhong, a pinch of salt, a pinch of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a sachet of instant yeast, 7 tablespoons of warm water, and a 1/4 cup of whole milk, and 2 tablespoons of oil. Knead it in the mixture with the dough hook attachment for about 7 minutes until the dough turns smooth and elastic. Once the dough comes together, dust the surface lightly with flour, then shape the dough into a ball and let it rise for 1 hour in a lightly greased bowl. By the time the dough has risen, the pork might be finished braising, so take the tenderloin out of the sauce and cut it into chunks, then stir the pieces along with the remaining braising liquid so the meat could soak up all of that glossy spice goodness. With the filling ready, go back to the dough and turn it out into a floured surface again and divide it into 4 equal pieces, shaping each into a smooth ball. Roll each dough into a round disc, then cook them one at a time on a greased cast iron skillet over medium heat, 2 minutes covered so the steam could puff them up, then 2 minutes uncovered to get those golden brown spots on the surface. These should be soft, chewy, and beautifully browned. Split them in half with a bread knife and fill them with a braised pork. The result looked exactly like the Mora meat from the book, except for the pattern on top. That may have been photoshopped, but I'm not sure. Even without the pattern though, this Mora meat looks mighty tasty. For dessert, we're making Layla's specialty, a dessert with scattered nuts like stars dotted in the deep and quiet night sky. We're making Extravagant Slumber. To make this dessert, start in a saucepan and pour in a 1 2/3 cup of almond milk along with 8 sprigs of lavender. I couldn't find lavender in sprig form, so I used about 2 tablespoons of loose lavender buds instead, which should be equivalent to 8 sprigs. Then split a vanilla pod and scrape out the seeds and then add that to the pot. Mix it all up. Oh, and toss in the vanilla pod itself. Let the mixture infuse for about 10 minutes before finally fishing out all of the lavender and the vanilla pod. Once they're out, set the milk over low heat, letting it warm until it just starts to steam. Then you can add a drop of food coloring if you want that dreamy purple color like in the game. Stir in a tablespoon of rose water for flavor, then remove the saucepan from the heat. In a mixing bowl, whisk 4 egg yolks with half a cup of powdered sugar until smooth. Once mixed, add a 1/3 cup of cornstarch and keep whisking until the mixture is slightly thickened and glossy. To temper the eggs, I slowly stream in the hot infused milk while whisking nonstop, letting the warmth gradually thicken the mixture without scrambling anything. Return the whole milk mixture to the saucepan and set it back over medium heat, stirring constantly with a wooden spoon, but I think I had the heat on too high because I can see it clump up a bit, and I think the heat was cooking it into scrambled eggs. Also, the color just absolutely went away when I mixed in the yellow yolk, so I'm kind of scratching my head here. I really wanted to look like the book's photo, so I just added some more purple food coloring, but then it just turned into this dark, off-putting gray. I don't think the food coloring was working well with the yolks at all. Not going according to plan, but once it reached that smooth pudding-like consistency, I pulled it off the heat and transferred it straight into a piping bag and let it cool to room temperature. Once cooled, tuck the piping bag in the refrigerator so the custard could chill and firm up. Everything was fully chilled and ready. I piped the lavender rose custard, but this color and consistency kind of looks off-putting. Does it kind of remind you of something? I know I messed up the tempering, but I'm still wondering how the cookbook achieved that light pastel-like purple color. Anyway, top with some hazelnuts, and that's our serving of the Extravagant Slumber. Let's try this Genshin grub. Starting with the Nutritious Meal, this meal is nutritious and delicious. Super cheesy and creamy with a bit of subtle crunch from the veggies. I love the different textures from the different vegetables and the cubed ham. Really enjoyable mouthfeel and really addictive to munch on. The Parmesan crisp wasn't really crispy. It was more chewy. I don't know if I didn't let it cook enough or if I didn't use the right Parmesan. Maybe I should have just used the powdery type of Parmesan. And I'm still wondering if I could have gotten that strong green color like in the book's photo, but taste-wise, still pretty tasty, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the rest of this gratin. Now we move on to the Mora meat. Couldn't wait to bite into this, and yeah, this is pretty decent also. The bun is nice and soft, subtly crispy with a chewy interior. I think that tangjang really helped out with the texture to give it that really nice gumminess. I think I rolled it out a bit too wide, so it turned out bigger than expected, but I'm hungry anyway, so I don't mind. The meat is perfectly tender and I really like the flavor of the sauce, but it is pretty salty. Maybe the sauce reduced too much or there's just too much soy sauce, but the bread does a really good job of counteracting that really strong flavor. I think this would have been perfect with just a little less saltiness, but as is, still pretty tasty. And for the dessert, is this slumber truly extravagant? I mean, it's not bad. I like the creaminess and the floral notes of the lavender and rose water. Those floral notes were pretty light and not too strong. Does not taste soapy at all as some of these types of desserts end up being sometimes. The texture isn't perfect. It does taste curly, and I definitely messed up somewhere in the cooking process, but once you mush it in your mouth, it gets pretty creamy anyway. So is the Genshin Impact Cookbook any good? This cookbook is one of the most beautifully designed gaming cookbooks I've ever seen. I think the instructions could be a bit better, and I think some stuff might be lost in translation, but it does feel like a true artifact from the game.